Hey, with you Evening Story Channel, I post new interesting stories every day. Subscribe and click the bell to not miss it. What beauty in nature, the green foliage is mesmerizing, inviting under the shade of tall trees and dense shrubs. What grows on the side of the road? Mason couldn't resist the temptation and pulled the car over. Even though the air conditioner was running in his Jeep, the sun was blazing outside. As he passed the bushes, he stopped. Everywhere you look yellow sea of ears, among which blue eyes of cornflowers and white fragile daisies look out cautiously, and a little more brazenly red poppies, breaking the harmony of bright color of this amazing sea. The man sighed a full breath and sat down in the tall grass closer to the field, looking up at the clear sky and lacy torn clouds. He loved summer very much. His youth flashed by like a gentle spring. The snow-white weaves of his hitherto black hair were a reminder of a hard life. Now he had everything. A good, lucrative job, a chain of gas stations all over the country. He had a wife, Lisa, a spoiled-kept woman. He blew the dust off her. She was 8 years younger than Mason. At first, he said she was young, stupid. Wisdom comes with age. But after living with him for 5 years, while he worked hard to build a business, Lisa got bored, and after another 6 years, she had a lover and filed for divorce. Their daughter Molly was raised by a paid teacher. The servants cleaned the house, and Lisa lived for herself. They were not always rich, but provided her with a carefree life. Mason always, even at times, to his own detriment. For example, he drove a company car for a very long time, and did not buy his own, just so that his favorite girls did not need anything. And because Mason was a big official, then only after leaving office, and was able to devote himself to the development of big business. And all the money he earned he put on his wife. But they parted peacefully. He bought her a villa on the coast and put a large sum of money in the bank in her name. And daughter Molly, who was 10 years old at the time, stayed to live with her father. That's what the parents decided. As and when he missed important points in parenting. But the transition age of the daughter took Mason by surprise. At first, there were a lot of complaints from the girl, but all her dreams and wishes rich daddy fulfilled as a good wizard. Continuing to camp her by her 16th birthday, she had both her own large apartment and her own car. Molly was boorish to her father and argued with him often. Within a year, she found herself in the system. Using drugs, brazenly cheating her father out of money. Mason fought for his daughter, treated her, drove her to rehab centers. He wouldn't give up, but the girl was out of control. Money corrupts. He realized that after a while. But at 21, Molly finally came to her senses. She graduated from college, trained as a computer designer. She was still fragile and impressionable. She'd been deeply affected by a car accident involving 2 of her friends. Under the influence of drugs, the rich girls were returning in a cool car from a nightclub. Molly was supposed to go with them, but she hesitated. She came back, forgot her jacket on the back of the chair, and they drove off in the breeze at high speed. They had an accident. One of them got out of it somehow. The second, despite many expensive surgeries, remained disabled for life. Like a vegetable, visiting first in the hospital, then at home. Molly realized what such a life could lead to and kept quiet. She asked her father to pay for her rehabilitation and came back a different person. No more alcohol, no more drugs. But as it turned out, she loved traveling with her camera. And in this fascinating occupation, she unexpectedly found herself and developed her talent and passion for artistic photography. The pictures turned out to be very beautiful. Her father even paid for and organized an exhibition. He began to be proud of his girl, not forgetting now to spend a little time and talk about it too. Life had settled down, and even Lisa's absence from their lives did not dampen the bright joy. Now, sitting in the grass and admiring the yellow waves of ripe ears, Mason finally let the tears fall. Yes, it had been a long time since the strong man had cried, carrying pain and despair deep in his heart, and gave a little outlet to the accumulated emotions. Molly would have been happy to photograph the native scenery. 2 years ago, her daughter started complaining of stomach pain. They had just celebrated her next birthday. Molly turned 26 years old. She was a successful and very confident young woman, and pretty. All the money that she managed to get from the sale of her works, the girl gave to charity. She was a frequent guest in the orphanage and in the boarding school for children with special needs. She communicated with the staff and then brought all the necessary supplies of food and juices. Children or underwear and essential goods paid either Molly or her father. The girl was dating James' boyfriend, James the painter, and was on the verge of getting married. But what the doctors announced after an examination in an expensive clinic turned their lives upside down, divided it into before and after. The terrible diagnosis shocked and deprived her of the power of speech. Father closed in himself and daughter. Her soul became numb with fear. She understood as an autumn leaf that met the first frosts, stomach cancer. Stage 3. Of course, we will operate and do everything possible, said an experienced doctor, the best specialist in the capital. The main thing is to calm your daughter. New techniques. Science doesn't stand still. If you don't want to be treated here, I'll recommend a very cool Israeli clinic. Money's not a problem for you. But Mason couldn't get Molly, who was down and out of sorts. I'm the one being punished, she kept telling me. Oh, come on. Come on. You've changed. You're a good person. You're sensitive and kind and talented. Okay, we're wrong. Dad, don't, I know. And I could feel it. Listen, we have to go to Tel Aviv. Take the camera. The ocean city there is majestic, amazing, prim, and proper. You haven't been there yet. No, Dad, but after the surgery, Molly insisted she continue her treatment at home. Daddy couldn't refuse. He was filled with hope. My daughter returned in high spirits and with a feverish gleam in her eyes, looking at the pictures. Daddy, I've got a whole exhibition of pictures here. I didn't expect it to be so beautiful. I took pictures of the sunset in the evenings. And here's the sunrise. And look, a lonely palm tree. And he looked with bated breath at the amazing, fantastic angles of her photos. But his father's quiet, paternal joy was short-lived. It returned in a more aggressive form with metastasis. The doctors said, it happens. Molly lost weight beyond recognition. The skin on her face turned yellow. She felt uncomfortable with him. No, Molly would get up and serve herself. But she hid her tear-red eyes and was ashamed of the lack of hair on her head after chemotherapy. So a month ago, Mason made the decision to hire a girl about the same age as her as a caregiver. Vanessa was an orphan, working at one of those many gas stations. A charming girl with dimples on her cheeks. Mason had offered her a job at his house down the road, explained everything to her, and told her people like Vanessa knew how to be sympathetic and involved. After all, she'd been through the grief of loneliness herself. The girls hit it off, openness and naivety. Vanessa that loved to tell about her childhood, gray-haired, kind grandmother, and these memories were so colorful. Vanessa also knew how to describe nature. She explained later that these memories were vivid because they were happy. Further orphanage boarding school, and one needed her after the death of her grandmother. Vanessa, looking at Molly's pictures, was delighted and did not hide her feelings. What a talent! It is necessary to see in a special way and to shoot it like that. It's just an ordinary flower. What are the petals like in the sun? And the beads of dew? Tenderness awakening. I call it that. It's a photo. Look at the drop. Frozen in the highlights of a night dream. Did you see them too? Flower dreams. And the girls laughed. And I see sad human dreams. Listen, Vanessa, is it your job to praise me or cheer me up? Or to watch and observe and report back to your father? No, I'm just making sure you don't get lonely. While Mason is traveling on business to work, I'm not spying on you. Hey, have you been to Egypt? Yeah, there's a whole folder full of pictures. Wow. What about this? That's Greece with its architecture and its evening peace. It's fucking beautiful. I've never been anywhere. I've never seen the sea in my life. I've never seen anything but a gas station and bearded truckers who like coffee. I've never been able to raise the money for a trip. I wouldn't dream of it. But I looked at your work and thought I'd like to see the ocean at least once. Vanessa, can we go to Italy with you or not? Venice? Let's do it. I feel so much more energized. Yet I feel like I'm not so sick anymore. Date your passport, come on. Tell me when you better tell me. How long is my father going away for? Like 2 weeks. I'll call him and ask him to go. We're adults. And James, he doesn't call, he doesn't come. I don't know. He's creative and cowardly. Let's go out. James came 2 weeks ago with flowers, and now he's suddenly disappeared without explanation. Not going to happen. Bitter, thought the girl. She tried to call James herself. The subscriber was unavailable. That's not a problem. Let it roll, the girl encouraged herself. I have a father and Vanessa. She's got it in for me. I didn't see anything but a gas station. She kissed her friend in a low voice. What humorist! A blush came to Molly's cheeks. She felt energized and carefully put her camera in the suitcase with her belongings. We left in a day, and how excited was Vanessa. You should have seen it, Molly smiled. We went first to Italy, then to Spain on the coast, and we decided to get there on a cruise ship. Vanessa stood on the deck and almost clapped her hands. Like a little girl, she laughed to herself. Molly, who stood next to her and covered her eyes, enjoyed the light breeze that touched her cheeks. A white shawl was tied on his head. What was hiding the lack of hair? What a beautiful day, she thought anxiously. Listening to her sensations of strong painkillers, she had packed an entire medicine cabinet and injections. What did Vanessa know how to do in pills? But nothing had hurt for 3 days of weakness and dizziness, and had to eat only liquid food ground with a blender and follow a special diet. But it's all small things. Daddy didn't want to let go. But Daddy, we won't be gone long. There's a doctor and a nurse on board. Please, just for 2 weeks. For a short cruise, they'll cook for me in the kitchen. I made the arrangements, paid, couldn't refuse. We agreed on a return date, and there they were at sea. She enjoyed the pure happiness of Vanessa's rapturous eyes, forgetting everything in the world, catching these moments, taking pictures of the jubilation in Vanessa's soul. Turn around and smile, listen. These pictures are called This Is What Happiness Looks Like, showing in the camera-saved snapshots. And you're beautiful, and look at my work. I took a picture of you. You're so beautiful. Your face is pure, spiritualized. And here, look how you look like your father. And I give you a hug. You're such a suck-up, Vanessa. Molly fought back. Their cabin was serviced by a steward, a young guy named Kevin. They became friends with him. Modest, short, thin, brown eyes. He liked to smile and put people in a good mood. But he didn't want to take tips, as Molly didn't ask for them. Spoke to her only in English, despite Vanessa's protests. It's just that I'm only in my 2nd year and the language is not enough. I know it well, Kevin excused himself. And Molly helps me to master and practice. You have a lot of foreigners on board. Of course, they like to travel. Kevin began to spend his free evening time with girls. Once he invited Molly to the Neptune bar, which was shining with bright lights on the upper deck, and they spent a wonderful evening. I can't eat or drink anything. You know what Molly said of him, I know. I've already made a special vitamin cocktail. They'll serve it to you. Don't worry. The sympathy between them grew. He looked into her blue eyes with undisguised tenderness and warmth. There was no pity, but the girl felt with all her soul the fiery feelings that flared up from their closeness and their touch and his embrace. And Molly lay awake at night. She thought, how did she let love in her heart? Why? She only had a year to live. But remembering his gaze, his touch of his hand, she tried not to think about the future and enjoy every minute of the time allotted to her by God. Strangely enough, in 2 weeks, she had only had an overnight injection once, and Molly had taken a pain pill once. And that was just out of habit, no more attacks. Going ashore in sunny Spain, she immediately called her father. All is well. My dad, surprisingly, everything is fine. On the way back, full of impressions, tanned and ruddy Molly was chatting with a friend, sitting on the deck in a chaise lounge. Seeing the approaching guy, Vanessa got up and, with a wink, ran off to the cabin, leaving the young people alone. "I'm going to miss you, Molly. I love you and I want you to be my wife. Kevin, I'm terminally ill. Why do you need me?" Molly almost cried at those words. "But I want to tell you right away. It's not money I'm after, love, believe me. We've been hearing rumors about your father's wealth. I want you. I really want you to be happy. I really love you. Let's put in the print-up that I renounce my wife's money. No property benefits at all. Accept it. Marry me. Love heals. I'll carry you in my arms." And he lifted her up like a piece of fluff. "What more can I do to make you believe me?" Vanessa captured their breakup scene on camera and showed it to a friend in the living room with the comment, "This is what happiness looks like." No, more like this is what tenderness and love looks like. Molly's father walked in the door of their mansion at this time and was stunned on the spot, not recognizing his daughter. She was glowing with happiness. Her eyes radiated so much emotion. My daughter held Molly tightly to her heart. "Oh my God, you look so beautiful. Have you changed?" "Daddy, I'm getting married to Kevin. We met on the liner. I'm happy for you, my daughter. And we took so many pictures," Vanessa bragged. "Well done, girls. You had a great vacation. How do you feel?" He whispered to his daughter, not letting her out of his arms. "Good," Molly replied. "We'll live a little longer." A year passed, a happy one for everyone. For a year, Molly had almost no seizures. But she absolutely refused to be tested. "Daddy, maybe I'll go to sleep one day and not wake up, but I'll sleep happy. Maybe we can still fight. And it's not all bad," Kevin once said. "You don't want to get tested here, you can go to Israel. Dad put you up to it to convince me. Okay, I'm in. I have a dream. And I have a dream to live near you for a long time, to give love and tenderness." Doctors, comparing the scans and the results of previous examinations, were very surprised. Miracles, of course, happen, but very rarely. The disease did not progress. There was still hope, as the eyes of the patient and the girl who came with her were shining too. And the father did not hide his tears. Pleased with her young man, picked up Molly in his arms.